with the new season coming up, we obviously have to look at the goalkeeper that Enzo Maresca is going to want to bring in this season. Now, I understand we have three top-notch goalkeepers that could actually start for other clubs, but these are three goalkeepers that more than likely are not going to be at this club or not going to be the number one this upcoming season for Enzo Maresca. Now, Kepa obviously is coming back from Real Madrid, though I don't think he's going to be a big option. I think they're going to try to sell him to get some money to bring in another goalkeeper, plus get with FFP. We also have Robert Sanchez. Same thing with him. I don't think he's going to be lasting much longer at Chelsea, which is a shame because I thought he was a fairly decent goalkeeper. But Petrovic is probably the best out of these three right now with a higher potential. So therefore, again, it makes more sense to keep this guy. Even though his ball playing abilities isn't quite where it needs to be, this last season we saw him do fairly well, but as we saw with our defense, we obviously landed a lot of goals. Now you could say that's more defensive and not so much the goalkeeper, but obviously they go back and forth a little bit. So therefore, there's probably potential between this goalkeeper and Enzo not being on the same page. And yes, he may start with him, but more likely not, he's going to be looking at a few different goalkeepers, which today I want to go over those three options that could possibly be coming to Chelsea this summer and actually incorporating with his philosophy with bringing that goalkeeper up to the back line and again playing this possession in the back and therefore again breaking down teams with multiple passes throughout the match, and therefore again it makes more sense that these guys would come into this club to help him incorporate his philosophy and get Chelsea winning more and more matches. Now the first one that I do want to look at here, which I think makes total sense if you're looking at the possibility of goalkeepers coming in, would be obviously the goalkeeper that we saw at Leicester City with Enzo Maresca, and that's Mads Henderson. Now, obviously, this is a fairly younger player. Again, 6'2", though. He is a little bit on the shorter side, I would say, for goalkeepers, even though I don't think that really prevents him, because if you go back and watch his highlights, the man is a great shot stopper. He can definitely do it. Plays for Denmark, and again, fairly young as well. So I think this is a big part as well. You could say he could easily fit into the board's philosophy of bringing in younger players, and he has the potential to play very, very well at this club. And he already knows the manager, what he expects out of this, and therefore, again, this makes the most sense. Now, that being said, there's probably the possibility that Leicester do not want to let him go. They just got promoted. They just lost their manager, and they're probably going to lose some backstap as well. So the loser keeper as well is going to be very difficult, even though they have Ward as their backup, who was in the league prior to that. And yes, they had Schmeichels even when they got relegated a couple seasons ago. But really, this is a guy that would make the most sense to come in and play for Chelsea, and he would fit in perfectly right off the bat because, again, he knows the philosophy, he knows what's expected from Enzo, but it might be a little difficult to bring him into the club. I'm not sure exactly what his release clause is, or again, if he has any type of a stipulant to stay with Leicester as of right now, but he makes the most sense to come in and fill that position. Now, that being said, if he's not able to come in, there's obviously a few other goalkeepers that we do want to look at. Now, the other one who, again, I think sometimes may go under the radar a little bit would be Bart Verbruggen. Now, again, when we're looking at this guy, he obviously is from Brighton. We have multiple connections with always looking at Brighton, so therefore, again, they're probably looking at this guy even without even saying it. Same thing, age 21. He did fairly well with the Zerbi, who similar tactics, how we want to play possession, play for the back. This guy also would make total sense. Yes, he is a little bit younger, but he does have Premier League status or has played in the Premier League. So again, we know what to expect from him. Yes, he does have a few errors here and there, but overall, he did fairly well for Brighton, who I would say arguably had a pretty bad season last year. So therefore, again, he does make sense to come into this club as well. Again, release clause would be a little bit higher, but we do have the connection already with Brighton that this shouldn't be that difficult for us to actually do if we are able to bring this guy in. It would be, again, one of those kind of comical things where we may look at it and be like, huh, we're bringing another guy from Brighton, but still, if he's able to come in, I think he could start right off the bat, fill into that position, understand Enzo Maresca's philosophy, how he wants to play, and therefore does make sense. Now, off of these two guys, I think, though, that Mads would make more sense and actually be easier to bring in than Verbruggen, but again, this is a possibility. The third option, who it's hard to say if this is actually even a possibility because of what he just did, but if we are actually looking at a goalkeeper that could possibly come into the club, which I understand, looking at this would make total chaos for the most part, but would be Onana from Manchester United. Now, I understand he just went to Manchester United last season, but there could be the possibility of changing managers, which if that's the case, he may want to bring his own goalkeeper, which could put him on the market as well. Now, obviously, he's going to be more on the expensive side, 28 years of age. He has played in the Premier League. A good shot stopper, I would say. Yes, he was prone to a few errors, but he's able to play with his feet. We've seen this time and time again, how he can ping balls left and right. And this is the same thing. This is a guy that could definitely fill into that role and actually play well. I do think he had an unfortunate season at United this past year with all the injuries that was happening with the CBs. Yes, he did have errors in the Champions League as well. I'm not going to say that didn't happen, but really, this guy has potential to be a very, very good goalkeeper. And I would not even be surprised if next season at United, he is one of the top goalkeepers in the league if they can keep everyone fit, and it depends on who the manager is, but he has potential to be one of the best goalkeepers. And again, not that we're a United fan here, but I want to recognize where a guy is actually very good at what he does. But Onana would be a great addition to Chelsea, and therefore, again, I think that if we were to bring him in, this itself would be something to highlight how well and how important a goalkeeper who can play possession can really help this club, because we know what Enzo Maresca wants to do. We all know what most managers want to do now. We're all trying to follow Pep Guardiola's style with having a guy play from the back as a goalkeeper. Yes, you still want the shot stopper, but you're going to be relying on your defense as well. But if you can bring a goalkeeper up to play with his feet, you are able then to beat a lot of tactics, because even if someone's doing the gegenpressing, like Liverpool, even though Klopp's not there anymore, you can break them and then hit them on the counterattack. And this is, again, why it's very important to have a goalkeeper that can play with both feet, which is why Kepa, Sanchez, and even Petrovic do not make sense. But out of these three, I'm really curious, what do you guys think, or who do you think we should actually go for this upcoming transfer window for our goalkeeper? I honestly do think that Mads Henderson makes the most sense from Leicester. Again, just because of the connection with the manager and what they did last season at Leicester. But I do not know if we're able to pull him. Then I think for Bongan, but Onana could still be a good possibility to come into this club and play very, very well. So comment down below. I'll get to those as quickly as possible. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate it, and I will see you in our next video.